Our camp was at the end of this runway. This was at the end of the runway when we were still in our pup tents. And these two are Marine boys. This is me and Mike Evancho from Scranton, PA, and David Eshelman from Scranton, PA. We had a lot of Pennsylvania boys in there. Mike Eachus was from St. Louis, Missouri. And these two Marines slipped down in to sample our spam and our good stuff, you know. This is me in the middle there on a break. But at that time I was a carpenter's mate first class. That's equal to the Army's tech sergeant. And here's another shot of Mike, Chief Burbridge, and me. And this is my friend from Cincinnati, Ohio. And you see these boys sitting on our improvised cans out in public. You go by and wave at each other, you know. The nurses would go by and they would whistle. And some of these pictures are starting to fade because the film wasn't all that good and it was affected by seawater and so forth. This is my friend from St. Louis. Yeah, this is the black volcanic gang. It was lighter than sand, and you could stand in it and walk in it, and it'd go up over your boot tops. It'd be so soft, you know. Then it would rain and pack it down, but as it dried out, and now this is down at the south end of the island, looking up toward Suribachi. You can see the faint outline of Suribachi there at the other end of the island. This is where most of our casualties and deaths were in this area here. This is part of our camps that we built down there, and this is where I landed on the beach. It was right down in here. And we were only about 1.5 miles off of where we were supposed to land. And here's another picture of the group. Here, we went through the war together, and we were closer than any brothers or anything else, you know. So some of the guys got together and they built this post and took measurements, and this is arrows pointing to the different cities around the world. When we felt sorry for ourselves, we'd get around there, wish the war was over. This is our island command post there, and this is the 5 of us again. And here we are on top of Suribachi. We knocked about 150 feet off the top of Suribachi to get more room to put the radar station up. I built the radar station on top of Suribachi. And this is the road that goes down. This is where the 6th and 5th and 6th Marines landed. The 4th landed. We landed over on this side. It's faded out, but you see some of the ships there. There was beach, all beach, but it went down just like this. They would shove their prow in there with an anchor. This is my platoon. We were ordered to go across the island to pick up some wire, and I told that lieutenant, I said, this has not been secured. I mean, it's mine. And he ordered him, and I wouldn't go. And he called the other chief over, and the chief picked the guys up, and they loaded them up, and they started across. And about 150, 200 yards out, they hit a mine. The Japanese would take these 3-foot yardstick leather mines, and they would take a torpedo head or a 500-pound bomb and wire that to that, and that's what they hit. Apparently it was either a bomb or a torpedo head. It took that big truck up and just gutted it out and killed them. There was only 3 of us guys left in that my platoon. And they didn't lose any time. They wouldn't even let the lieutenant gather up any personal belongings. They picked him up and took him down and hauled a sub in and put him aboard a sub, and I never saw him again. And it's a good thing because I'd have killed the son of a bitch. We went through the war and to lose them all at one time. This is the 5th Marine Division Cemetery. Part of our unit had part of what we do, we'd take the bulldozers and that, we'd dig out trenches and rows, and they lay them in rows like this, and then they'd cover them all over, see. Now they picked the bodies up, and those that weren't, people didn't want to bring them clear home, they're in the Honolulu Cemetery there at the, yeah, this is the 4th Marine Division. We had a couple of stonemasons from Kentucky that built this rock. This rock we got from the north end of the island up there. And this is on Memorial Day. Here's another shot across the cemetery. You can see Suribachi in the back. This is the 4th Marine crosses. Here I am in a P-47. That's me in there. I rode it along the runway, and I got another shot closer with me in there, and I'm sure bragging. But they got into trouble for letting me do it, but not too much trouble. This is looking down Suribachi down on the water, and there's a 7th Fighter Command was based at the bottom, and that's how I got acquainted with. Because I built their headquarters up on Suribachi. I watched these guys come in. At first they had no radio communications. Everything was dead. And some of their wheels would be shot out, and there was no way to stop them. They'd come in so fast and they couldn't take off and go around again because they were on the verge of crashing, and they crashed and skid to a stop. This cemetery is was about 100 foot square. I built the fences. The Swiss Red Cross heard that we was mistreating our enemy, and so they made an inspection, and they come up to me and says, "We got to have a couple cemeteries." Well, we never buried any of them over there. We just chewed them up with our machines, running across their bodies and stuff. But so we built this quick cemetery here. And Dave Eshelman had the other cemetery, and then we put a fence around it, and we made this sign up, and this is what they made up for us there, for the Swiss people when they came in. Here's a B-29, one of the first ones that cracked up, landed, and they stripped it out for parts. These are during the landings, these is what we used, the LSTs. They came in. Now, you know that one pilot out there, Dennis out there at the airport, I was telling him about the cook off it was this one here, I think. The cook gathered up all his flour and everything and baked hot bread and passed it out to us guys. And I was telling him about that, and Dennis says, "Well, my dad did that. He was on Iwo." So I took this picture over to him, and that was his dad's. Boy, all I have to do is say I want something, and I got it from him. I tell you, he thought that was really wonderful. You see how we've done through there. Now, we didn't use matting a lot, except where they took off or landed, you know. Yeah, it's the Black Widow. That's what I was in that night. I traded places because we got bored with the gunner. And he took me up with him, and while it was dark, and while we was up there flying, we got an alert for an air raid. And I thought, what hell, they're going to cancel my insurance for sure. Yeah. Here's a P-47 that never made it back. It made a crash landing. after a while, we smelled so bad, and our clothes were rotting on us, and we went swimming in there. We went swimming when the tide was up. You can see where the tide come up to. But we went swimming in here because of breakwater. While we was in there, we moved around, and the sand, we would break bodies loose. It was buried in the sand underneath the water, and they come floating up to us while we was trying to scrub off and clean it.